Good morning, children. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is non-finite verbs. I know that just before some days I had mentioned in the message that you go through the chapter models, but about that we'll be talking in our live class. But before that I wanted to talk about this non-finite verbs. Okay, so first of all, and also I wanted to say that the models, that is not going to take such long, and it is just going to be a kind of introduction to you, and then the remaining things you will have to just study in your book, because whatever the rules are given, if you just study them, then that's enough. Okay, now let's coming to this non-finite verbs. We will not talk about lots of things today, because this thing needs to be understood part wise. Okay, so first of all what I have to say is, first of all, today we are going to talk about non-finite verbs. We are going to talk about non-finite verbs. Now, first of all, we'll talk today about finite verbs, okay, so that you can understand what is the proper difference between finite verbs and non-finite verbs. And almost we had also got about it in those chapters when we were doing phrases and clauses. Okay, so at that time we had already got it, so let us just revise once more. And so yes, first of all we'll be talking about today finite verbs, then we'll be talking about non-finite verbs, and this will be having 3 sections. Okay, this non-finite verbs, they are having 3 sections. Those are, first of all, they are infinitives. Okay, then we have gerunds, and lastly we have participles. Okay, these 3 are the sections for non-finites or non-finite verbs. Now, first of all, what are finite verbs? Now, finite verbs are those which have got some limitation. If this side changes, the another side also reacts to this side. You are not understanding? Let me show it to you. Let's make that so-called famous table that we have, that is person, singular, plural. You already know this. So first person, second person, and third person. Now let's take one example. It is already mentioned in your chapter also. You just see your page number 53. The very first example which is given there, just see that. It's written, I go to school to study. The example is, I go to school to study. Okay, this is the sentence. Now, yes, then here it should be, we go, you go, he, she, it goes, yes, and this should be, they go. Now, let's talk about this. What is this? It is in first person and singular number, and that's why, as it is first person singular number, that's why our tense is in present tense. We are talking in present tense only right now, so it will remain go. Okay, but let's take this, he or she. If we change this subject to he or she, then will this go remain the same? Will this verb remain the same? Will it? No, it won't. Then if it won't, then what? We have to change this. Yes, so it will change to goes. We all know that. So this is finite verb. These are finite verbs. So when our subject is changing, number is changing. Okay, so this first it was in first person singular number. Now it has changed to third person singular number, and that's how our verb has changed from go to goes. I hope now you are clear about it. Okay, so when this change happens, if we have our subject in singular or plural, and then on the other hand we are writing some other subject and some others in some other person, then the verb changes. So according whatever is our person or number, the tense accordingly changes. Okay, this is clear. Now let me remove this part. Okay, let me just remove this part, and you have already understood this thing. Yes, now let me show you. Let me write it here. Now this finite verbs is done. You have understood what are finite verbs. Now we will talk about non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs are totally opposite. There are limitations in finite verbs. Okay, if this thing is there, the right thing will react accordingly to this. But non-finites are not such. Whatever is there, this does not affect. No reaction, no result. It still remains the same. Whatever tense it is, whatever person it is, whatever number it is, it does not change. It remains the same. Let me show you how. Okay, let me write this sentence once again so that you can understand. See, I go to school to study. Okay, see this sentence. I go to school to study. Okay. Now if I write, he goes to school to study. So now if you see, when we have changed our subject from first person to third person, automatically the verb has changed, the form of the verb has changed. But if you see more closely in these two sentences, there is one more verb. Can you see? Can you just find out, or can you recognize this? Which is that? That is this one, study. Okay? Study is another verb here. But if you see, then just before study, there is another word, that is to. And this is one of the part of non-finite, and that is what? To plus verb is what? Infinitive. So this is infinitive. We already know this. So this is what I wanted to explain you in this way, that when any reaction happens, okay, when accordingly the changes happen, that those are finite verbs or finites we say, and when there is no reaction or no change happening, then it is non-finite. Okay, let me grab a sentence for you. If you just see here, a note is given in the very first page. If you see just this paragraph, then you will understand what is written here. Its form does not change. As I said, the form of the non-finite verb, it does not change. So what happens? It has the same form, to study. If you see this, I go to school to study, he goes to school to study. Now our person has changed. Yes, our tense has changed here, but not here. Nothing changes here. Even if we have changed our person, we have changed our person from first person to third person, then also nothing changes. Still, it's to study. It remains the same. It will not change its form. So that is how no effect is there. It still remains the same. This verb does not have any subject. And also we can see one more thing. This is the subject and it's just written close to it. So this verb has got the subject I. This verb has got the subject I. Goes has the subject he. But this study is far away. It does not have any subject. Okay. So that's how it is non-finite verb. Now this note we will not read right now. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Now you see one thing. You just have to mark some of the things. And you have to mark some of the things. Those are, we'll talk about the infinitives. Now infinitives we already have talked about. That is to study or to plus verb. Now we will see where we use infinitives and or in what cases infinitives are used and in what cases infinitives are not used. Okay. Now you see, when a verb merely suggests an action and is not limited by person and number, it is called infinitive. This infinitive is also referred to as to verb. We already call it as to plus verb. But it can be used with or without to also. I have just said that we'll see what are the uses of infinitive and where we do not use. That means infinitive is there, to plus verb is there, but somewhere we don't put the word to. Okay, this is the thing. Now see, first point, the infinitive is used like a noun. It can be used as a subject or object of a verb. To err is human. To err means what? To make mistake is human. Now what is human? If we ask, that is how we find out what is a noun, right? We had done this in our previous class also while we were doing noun phrase and noun clause. So I had also told you that you just ask the verb what, then you get your noun phrase or clause. So in that way, if we ask that what is human, then it answers you to err is human. So this is how infinitives are also acting like nouns. Okay. And then you see another example is given there. Children love to go out. Love what? So this is coming as object. So in the previous sentence it was as subject and then in the next sentence it is as object. Second one, infinitive can also be used as the object of a preposition. It is also just same, subject and object. It can act as subject and object both. Now coming to next page, page number 54. Here we will see what is bare infinitive. Okay, when an infinitive is used without to. So when that is an infinitive, but we do not use the word to, to. So that is called bare infinitive. Okay, this is what. So where we do not use after the verb shall, will, do, did, should, all these words, we do not use to. We can do the work. The examples are given there. We use the infinitive without to after the verbs let, make. So you will read these points. Point number A, B, you will read these points. And now you see also there were just only 2 points regarding where we use the infinitive. That is, infinitives can be used as, the proper infinitives will be used as what do you call this, subject and object. And where we do not use, how many points are given here? 1, 2, 3, 4 points are given here. Okay, where we do not use. So carefully observe the use of to infinitive with dare and need to. Now after generally what we know, we use to plus verb, but sometimes we also use the models, then we place to. Okay, so how we write that? She dared to disobey the laws, then you need to go there. So dare, need, these are all models. Okay, model verbs. And also we'll see one more thing. Yeah, if you just read this these points, these are the points which are used without to, or where in some special cases we place we use to, where in special cases we use to, that is after modals and also after some expressions. Then where we don't use to, or where to is omitted, we are supposed to omit it, where. So you will read this points, okay. A, B, C, D. So you read these points. So for today we are only ending up to here, this infinitive part. Now if we start talking about participles and gerunds, it will get too longer and you will be totally confused. So what I am saying is, you just understand the principal thing here. What is the difference between finites and non-finites, and what is infinitive? This is the very easiest one, okay. This infinitives is the easiest one, and if you first read this, after that we'll go to the next part, that is gerunds and participles. That is somehow similar, it appears similar, but there is difference, okay. So after you have watched this video, you will go for brain twister. I can see A number is very easy. If you want, you can do it, but it is coming from gerunds. So you just think yourself, if you want to do it, then you can. But you have to do B number from brain twisters. Okay, that is coming under infinitives. Just now what we discussed. After reading up to that part of infinitives, then you go for this. Okay, and one last thing, from activity zone B number. So there are two questions which you have to do. This is brain twisters B number and activity zone B number. Only these two you do. Then after this, when we have covered up this infinitives part, then we will proceed to participles and gerunds, and then you will solve the remaining part of the exercise from this chapter. So hoping that if you have understood, and I'll be giving this video today because as tomorrow we'll have our live class, so we can discuss what are the doubts maybe you had faced within this infinitive parts. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope you have understood this. So if you have any doubt, we'll talk about it in our live class. So for today, thank you.